So, you know, we're getting a lot of people asking how I animate. Frankly, I'm quite sick of it. Anyways. My beak. Anyways, the first thing you're gonna do is just open ActionScript 3.0. Don't open anything else because I don't know how to use those things. Anyways, we're gonna pop this guy in here. Here he is. He looks all blurry and ugly right now. And for that, it's usually just does that. You're gonna want to right click, go to properties, turn off allow smoothing, change it to PNG/GIF. There you go. He's all not ugly. Anyways, this tutorial is just gonna be all about basics, but soon after, you're gonna learn how to animate. Now that I've shown that, I guess it's time I show the basic bullcrap that you gotta get out of the way. First of all, when you're making a new document from File and New, you'll get this over here where you can change your canvas width and height, and you can change the frames per second. Anyways, you can change these to whatever you want, but I recommend the 16:9 aspect ratio, and what I usually use 1920 by 1080 at 60 frames a second. And you get this big old thing. But that's how come all my videos render at 1080p 60 FPS. For everyone beginning, I recommend starting out at either 30 or 24 FPS. 30 is basically the same thing as 60, but a bit slower in terms of how many frames you want to use. Speaking of which, we should probably go over what frames you have and what the shortcuts are for them. So for F5, that's going to be just a new frame. For F6, that's a new keyframe. That's what you normally animate on to make things move. Like that. And then, boom. See? Now they move because of that keyframe. If you do that with just a normal frame and draw on it, nothing happens. F7 is a blank keyframe. So that way you can start from anew. Go like that. See? So now that the keyframes are out of the way, I guess we should get one thing out of the way, which is where do I get my sprites? I get my sprites from the Spriters resource. And boom, right here. Just click on it and it'll take you to this page. Here you'll want to just click on the icons and just copy the image, and I use a program called Sprite where I just paste my images in. I'll just remove all the background color, that way all the sprites are transparent when importing them into Adobe Animate. And you can do this in Adobe Animate too, but it's more recommended to just take whatever sprites you want, cut them out from the sprite editor, just paste them in there. There's two ways you can go about using these sprites. You can go to Modify, Bitmap, Trace Bitmap, and you always want to keep it at this threshold right here. Try not to put a large sprite in here with like so many colors because then it'll kill Adobe Animate. You can trace the bitmap, kind of like that. Or you can go here, go to Properties, turn off Allow Smoothing, and change it to Lossless. The word name, but whatever. This will still be a bitmap. These will be broken apart. So when they're broken apart like this, you can stretch them out like this. You can delete separate colors of theirs. Bitmaps, you can't really do that. You just have them like this. But if you go to the free transform, you can just start doing this. When you deselect and select again, that white dot will be there in the place that you last left it. For sprites like these, if you do that and that, deselect it and reselect it, the white dot won't be back where you left it. You have to put it back. Fortunately, you can get past this by selecting one of your broken aparts. Press F8 and it'll bring you up to this menu. I use graphics, that way I can see the movements as I'm animating on the timeline. but you can also change it to a movie clip if you already know what the movement's gonna look like. A couple main differences between graphic and movie clip. For graphic, you can change the looping to set it to play once or single frame. Single frame will just keep it at this exact frame. Play once will play all the frames inside of this symbol once and then just stop it there. Loop, it'll just keep playing forever. That one's a bit obvious. And in order to put a movement into this, you double click, add a new keyframe, and then just paste another movement in here. And there you go. Now you have a moving sprite. Now we're going to be going over movie clips. Movie clips, if you put another movement in here, something like this, you won't be able to see it on the timeline, but it will show up when exporting the animation. Some differences from it are this menu right here. You can add a bunch of effects to it, to your sprites, however you want. Control the quality, strength, the glow, a lot of stuff. I mostly use to make thumbnails at times, but you can use them for whatever. The effects will usually show up when rendering your animation. Over here, if you make a mistake and set a symbol that you wanted as a graphic to a movie clip, you can just go into the Properties tab, change the type from movie to graphic, and you're done. You can also just change the name in there, but I mostly just change it over here. Now, we'll just learn how to use classic tweens, and then I'll teach about motion tweens right after. Classic tweens will need a keyframe at the end for it to work. If it doesn't have a keyframe at the end to work, then there's no motion that's happening. You also need to keep this white dot in the same place as the last keyframe that you left it on, or else you won't get just a simple walk cycle like this. If you move it, you'll get something like this, where he'll walk down and then pop back up. It looks really stupid, but it does happen a lot. That's just a simple walk cycle without any easing. Here, when you do a classic tween, you can do this thing called easing, where it'll ease it in and out. It'll ease it in and out. Jesus. Easing out will make it go faster towards the end, but it'll start slowing down towards the end. Much like that. Then, there's easing in. Easing in will give it more frames towards the beginning, and then less frames towards the end. So it's a slow start and then a speedy build-up. Like that. Anyways, I like to use a combination of both. You'll press F6 to put something in the middle ground, and you push ease in, then put it to ease out. It's a start up and then a slow down. So you have 3 different variations. Ease in, no easing, easing out, and then a combination of both. Depending on what you're animating, you'll most likely just use no easing at all, but that's up to you to decide. Really, I don't mess with classic tweens all too much unless I'm animating a walk cycle. Now we'll animate ourselves a jump using motion tweens. So what you're going to do is you're always going to want to put a keyframe after a classic tween, or you can right click and convert it to frame by frame animation. That way you won't mess up the ease. What you're going to want to do is add as many frames as you want for the jump, right click, and create motion tween. So I'm not going to use this sprite. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change it to jumping. Alright, so what you want to do, change it to a jump sprite, then add as many frames as you want. You don't want to keep it in the same position as the last sprite, otherwise it'll look a bit weird. Watch. Create motion tween, move it to whatever point you want. And now you can't do anything with the free transform tool with the motion tweens, otherwise it'll just pick up the entire thing and move it around. You're just going to want to use the regular selection tool, and then you can curve it, or you'll get this. It ends up looking weird like this because he's just jumping from the same spot. There's no push off at all. Plus, this is a bit too many frames. But that's an easy fix, because you can just adjust however many frames you want just by sliding it back and forth. Even this is pretty bad, so what you can do is you could just remove the motion queen, create another one, and then just start over as many times as you need. You can also just press Ctrl Z. Ctrl Z is definitely going to be your friend in this. There we go. Simple walk, jump. And there we go. Now we have a simple walk to jump using classic and motion tweaks. Alright, so we've gone over most of the basics. We've gone over the different types of frames. We've gone over how to make a symbol, the difference between a graphic and a movie clip, and we've gone over what both the tweens do. I should also mention that motion tweens can also ease in and out, along with rotating the sprites upon their axis. Anyways, the last thing I'm going to show in this video, for this, you'll need to have a bitmap traced. Then you'll have to take your transformation tool and select it. Here, you can resize however you want. You can do this with anything, really. Be it a bitmap, graphic, movie clip, anything. What you can do with the free transformation tool with any symbol is you can skew, and it doesn't pertain to just left and right on the top. You can also do this, trying to make it look a bit 3D, you know? But if you really want to make it look 3D, you're going to want to hold Control and Shift, and you'll get this little symbol right here, but only on the corners. Then what you can do is drag it to the left. Make Mario just ascend. I don't know. Now he looks flat. No, he's a platform. You can do this the other way as well. Make him longer as he ascends into infinity. I didn't learn this till like 2 years ago from an old friend in a server. But yeah, that's basically all I'm gonna show for today. I've pretty much covered all the basics that need to be covered. Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is a little preview of a new sprite animation tutorial series I'm going to be working on. It'll be covering everything you'll need to know on how to get started with sprite animation, and I'll even cover how I animate so you can maybe implement that into your own style. I'll be posting a new episode every 2 weeks over on my Patreon. Yeah, I know, another one of these. But if you're worried these will stay exclusive to Patreon, then don't worry, because I'll still be uploading these to the main channel eventually. The Patreon will have exclusive access for patrons to view works in progress, watch videos hours before they go live, custom characters getting into the animations, and overall it just really helps to support the channel. If that all sounds interesting to you, then go ahead and check it out. But for now, I'll be seeing you. Thanks for watching.